Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kentucky Small Business Development Center's weekly webinar. And I'm certainly glad you're here today. So we're going to allow a few minutes for everybody else to kind of join our event. And while in the interim there, I'm going to share a little bit of information about the Kentucky Sbdc as the only statewide nationally accredited program that provides entrepreneurial and business development services. The Kentucky Sbdc plays a vital role in the Commonwealth's economic development by assisting entrepreneurs at every stage of their business life cycle. For almost 40 years, Kentucky Sbdc has assisted emerging and growing businesses by providing the professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to make sound business decisions in a complex and ever-changing marketplace. We do this at no cost to our clients, thanks to the U.S. Small Business Administration, who co-sponsors our program, which is then administered by the University of Kentucky, who then partners with regional universities, colleges, and local economic development agencies. We're also part of a national network, America's Sbdc, with over 1,000 centers across the nation. To learn more, visit KentuckySbdc.com. There you'll find additional resources to help start, fund, and grow your business. If you'd like to request personal assistance, please email us at info@KentuckySbdc.com or just give us a call at 1-888-475-7232. And a recording of today's session will be emailed to you later on this afternoon. If you look to the right of the screen, you'll find the chat feature. So if you have any questions for our presenter, and I know we'll have a bunch today, please you can post them there and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. So if you wouldn't mind, please try it out and say hello and tell us where you're from. So we're getting a bunch of folks. There's Justin from Northern Kentucky and Berna from Harlan County. Wow. So it's always great to see where everybody's coming from. I'm Dave Etkin. I'm the director here at the Louisville Center, the Louisville, Kentucky Center, and we are one of 13 centers spread across Kentucky, part of the Kentucky Sbdc network. So today's guest is one of my favorite people, Cathy Fyock, and I'm going to tell my story on you, Cathy. So
okay.
a few years ago, you were nice enough to do a seminar for us here in Louisville. But at that time, you were an HR consultant, and you did a nice seminar on HR issues with some of our clients. And so you and I were just kind of chatting on the side, and I said, so how's it been going? What have you been up to? And you said, well, I wrote a book. And I said, wow, that's cool. Tell me about that. How was that? And you said, it was a lot of work. But then you said, well, but after I published that book, my career really took off. And then there was about a year or so that I didn't see you. And the next time I ran into you, I said, well, how's the HR biz? And you said, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm an author, consultant. I'm helping people write books. And so we've had a bunch of other guests on Wednesday webinar here lately about copywriting and blogging and stuff like this. And this is all content, and putting all that together is into what you do into a book is just like the culmination of everything that you created. And it's such a great marketing tool. So with that, I'm going to get out of the way and just let you kind of jump in and let's go from there, because I know everybody really wants to hear about how they too can publish a book.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much, Dave. Well, I am super excited to be here and talk to you about how to use your content and reuse your content so that you are growing your business. Let me start out by saying something that may be a little surprising. A lot of times I'm asked, well, you must like to write. I mean, you're an author and you're a book coach, so you must love writing. And here's my big secret. I do not like to write. I really don't. I think it is really hard work. As Dave was saying earlier, I think it's super hard work. But here's the thing. I believe that this is hard work that makes a fabulous payback. And there is incredible return on your investment from your time and your energy and your hard work, because there's something magical about a book that gives you more credibility, more visibility, or even if you're just putting your content into a blog, it can really do wonders for your business. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to give you a heads up that this is going to be not one of these sit back and eat your lunch and just sort of listen. This is going to be one of these, I want you to find something that you can write on without closing out the webinar, of course, but find some writing tools, and we're going to be actually doing a lot of writing today. Some of the writing I'll ask you to do in the chat so that we can have sort of a conversation of sorts, and this will be great. This will be great. Now, one of the things I want to do to get us started is I am going to share with you my writer's pledge. And this is something that I developed several years ago. I learned that one of my authors had developed her own personal pledge that she said with her grandchild each day when they were together, and it set a positive intention for the day. So what I'm going to do is share with you my writer's pledge, and I would encourage you to say this along with me. This is something I do with all of my writers, and we do it on a regular basis at the beginning of all of our coaching calls and so forth. And it's so much fun in that it gives us really focused. It helps us know that this isn't going to be easy. So let's do it together, okay? The writer's pledge. I pledge that I will use my power to make today a fantastic day. I will block writing time on my calendar, and I will honor that time commitment and hold it as sacred creative time. I pledge that I will not allow my negative voice to guide my thinking or stop my creative process. I will surround myself with people who love me and support my writing. I pledge to tell my story, to share my experiences with authenticity and without apology. I know that in telling my story, I can provide others with the gifts of hope, wisdom, and joy. I pledge that I will continue to work so that I gain clarity and focus for my readers, audiences, and clients. Then I can continue to make the world a better place, one word at a time. And friends, I truly believe that that's why we do this hard work. We are, in fact, making the world a better place. We're sharing our thought leadership. We're sharing our expertise. We are helping make the world a better place, one word at a time. So with that, let's dive into the content. And I'm going to give you kind of a step-by-step process for how you might think about going from a blog to a book. And the first step is to think about what could writing, any kind of writing, blogs, books, articles, anything, what could it do for your business? And what I'd like for you to do in the chat right now is to put in a few words that might summarize some of your goals. Maybe it's to build credibility for your business, or maybe it's just to get out there, some visibility. Maybe it's to have a calling card, something you can hand to people and they're not going to toss it away. They're going to keep a book. They're going to hang on to a book. So what are the reasons that you might be writing as a strategy for business growth? If we could hear some of the responses, that would be great. Do we have some folks responding?
Not just yet, but we got a couple things coming up. So I think personally, I would want to share some of my expertise and kind of use that as to solidify my, as a business expert.
Absolutely. It really does show your thought leadership. It shows your commitment and your passion around your topic. It does all of those things.
So Lisa wants to bring in extra income. Kat would like to add personality and context behind what she's doing in the yoga world. Mm-hmm. Emily says she'd like to be shown as an expert, establish authority from Dr. Claire. To be seen as a trusted source on my subject, to be more visible to people and help them. People ask me for a book because they want to learn how to do what I do.
There you go. So it's important, though, that you get really clear on what your personal goals are for writing. I mean, I think that a book or any piece of writing can do a lot of these things, but to be very clear about how you want it to drive business, because by having that intention at the very onset, that will shape the shape of your book and will direct you in how to build it properly. For example, if you're wanting to build a speaking business, like one of my clients, he knew that he needed to tell stories that were about him speaking or sharing ideas with during a keynote or during a TED Talk or whatever. So identifying those purposes in advance. So that's step number one. So it sounds like you all have that one down. So let's get over our next step, which is identifying a positioning statement about who you are, what your business is about. Now, for some of you, this is pretty basic, but sometimes when moving into authorship, we sort of forget all of the things that we knew about our business. So what I'd like for you to do is think about what is your position statement. And let me give you the formula for your positioning statement is I work with blank who want to blank. Okay, I work with blank, the kind of people that you work with who want to achieve what. And so my positioning statement is I work with thought leaders and professionals who want to write a book as a business growth strategy. Now, just clarifying my positioning statement really helps me in focusing the book, articles, blogs, everything that I write then is focused at that target audience. So get some clarity as to your positioning statement. Now, I don't know if anybody has had a chance to write that in the chat yet, but Dave, if we do have anyone, or if you want to share your positioning statement.
Yeah, I will say, though, that you've actually, we've loaded in your worksheet and it has a positioning statement on there, and that's on the files part that you should pop out to you there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I work with business owners who want to expand and grow their businesses, especially if they need growth capital or financing or need new assets.
Perfect. You've got it down. A+.
Thank you.
And we didn't even rehearse this before.
No, we didn't. And then Justin says he says, I help businesses optimize their Google My Business profile. That's cool.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Anybody else sharing their positioning statement? Because that will help us with the next step.
Yep. I work with counties that want to bring in more visitors to generate sales. That's from Tracy.
Perfect. Perfect.
Will says, I work with individuals that want to achieve personal and financial wealth to fulfill the love of life. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Nice. Okay, so once we have our positioning statement in place and we're clear on that, now we can move into the thesis statement for our blog, for our book, for an article, white paper, whatever it is you care to write. So let's talk about how we find our thesis statement. What I have been doing in my business is I have these fabulous magic buttons, and I'm sort of sad in a way that I can't be with you in person because I usually have these with me and I give them to folks in the audience. But they say, ask me about my book. So I encourage everyone to grab one, put it on, and walk around the room, and then, you know, if you're wearing a button like this, it really does invite someone asking you the question. So, hey, tell me about your book. And then you have to talk about your book. And the answer to the question is really your thesis statement. So if you were asked, what is your book about? What is your response? If you had to put it in a few words right now, do that in the chat. And put in the answer to the question. So, tell me about your book. What's it about?
Man, that's a hard one.
I know. So, what is it? And it's hard because sometimes we think it's the topic. Well, it's about my first book was on the aging workforce. Is it about the aging workforce? Well, that's a little too broad. It doesn't really give a position on what the message is. But if I told you that my first book was for employers and it was for strategies for hiring and engaging an aging workforce, now you've got more of a sense of what the book is about, kind of what that focus of the book is about. And that's what you need to get that level of focus is what is your positioning? What's the moral of the story? At the end of the book, what's the message you want people to take away? That for my first book, it was that older workers are an untapped labor market segment that employers should be looking at capturing in terms of recruiting and engaging and retaining those workers. So do we have some other folks writing in their thesis statement, Dave?
Yes. So Ashley says, helping people identify and live their career purpose.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. Shannon says, how to start a mobile hair salon. That's fairly popular right now.
Love that.
Justin says, initial chapter is about web design, then get my business online, and then progressive web apps. It's fairly technical.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go back because Kristen, who I know, says she'd like to write a book on all the crazy stories that that have popped up, you know, producing gelato over 15 years. So that's definitely a book.
That I'm sure that would be a really fun book. Yeah. So getting clarity on what your book is about. If someone comes up to you and asks you the question, so I hear you're working on a book, what's it about? And 20 minutes later, you're still talking, you probably don't have your thesis statement down pat. So I would encourage you to look for ways to start articulating what your book is about. And maybe you want to start by doing that as your email signature, putting that on the bottom of every email, author of the forthcoming book, and then the working title, or a book about employing the wisdom of the aging workforce, or whatever it might be. So having it out there in the world that you're working on this book and that you're starting to talk about what the book is about is really, really valuable. Or you might even put on social media, hey, I'm working on a book and this is what the working title is, or this is what the subject is. Then you have started to engage your potential readers in your journey. And that can be very exciting too.
So Cathy, does that take a little bit of courage to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of courage. One of my authors, I gave it to the button to her when we first met, and we were sitting at a Panera, and what was funny is she had a jacket on and she pinned it on, but she pinned it under her jacket, so you really couldn't see the button. And I said, well, I can't really see the button that way. She goes, yeah, that's kind of the point right now. I'm not quite ready for everybody to see it yet. But the next time I saw her, she said, it took me several weeks, but eventually my button is out there and I'm wearing it now. And it does do magic. There is absolutely magic in this button. So yeah, but it does take a tremendous amount of courage. Because you're saying to the world, I'm stepping into my thought leadership. I'm going for it. And that's a little scary.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the next step. Once you have defined your thesis statement for your blog or an article, white paper, or your book, the next step is to really hone in on your targeted reader. And this should be aligned with your targeted customer. So who is your ideal customer? How might you define your ideal customer? And therefore, how might you define your ideal reader? What I'd love for you to do in the chat is to put some keywords that would identify your targeted reader. And what I'm looking for here is not only demographic information, but also psychographic information. Are these folks going through a transition or a change? Are they distressed about your subject matter? Are they fearful? Are they confused? What is their mental state as it relates to your topic? Getting good clarity on this is really great. So again, in the chat, if we have some folks who have shared some of those ideas about who is their ideal targeted reader, targeted client, that would be great.
Okay. So just to clarify, so would you recommend kind of just doing one word descriptors, or would you write like a little?
Yeah, I'd write a series of words. I think that maybe is the fastest way. You could just in the chat put female, over age 40, professional, or, whatever, whatever those words might be.
Okay. All right. So let's see here.
Because what I'm learning is the more you can really identify with your ideal reader, and for that matter, your ideal customer, the more on target you're going to be in terms of addressing their needs and responding to their questions, which we'll get to in just a minute here.
Okay. So Kristen says, someone who enjoys culinary memoirs like Ruth Rachel, or off the beaten track businesses like Brewing Up a Business.
Good.
Lisa says female clients that come to the salon.
Okay. Are they looking for a change? I would like to hear something more. Are they looking for something for that special day, or are they looking to reinvent themselves? The more you can identify some of those other characteristics other than just female coming to the salon will be really helpful for you.
Tracy says families with kids or multi-generational or groups of friends. This is a little bit harder one.
Yeah, sometimes harder to read. Sometimes people's hands go a little too fast for the keyboard.
Yeah.
But you get the idea. You're defining who this person is, and for that matter, who this person isn't. You might want to keep a running list of words that would describe your targeted reader, or conditions under which they might be seeking out your topic, your subject, your book, your company.
So Shannon, she says professional salon owners, women and men stylists and barbers. That's pretty specific.
Very good.
Will says midlife individual who feels stuck or unable to feel as though one is moving forward.
Good. I like the psychographics in that one.
Yeah. Stenora says book is about co-parenting. So her ideal reader would be blended families. Justin, small businesses under 15 employees in their office or store. So yeah, that's pretty specific.
Very good. Okay. Well, now we're going to go to what I think is one of the most fun exercises that we will do, and that is a letter to your reader. So what I'd like for you to do, and we're going to do just a little short 2-minute writing exercise, and I want you to write a letter to your reader. And I don't want it to be, I'm here for you. I'm going to help you solve your problem. I want you to really put yourself in the place of that reader. I want you to really think about what it is that your reader is going through. What is their emotional set? What is their anxiety about your topic, about their confusion, whatever it might be? And I want you to write to that emotion. And you're going to write a dear reader letter to your reader. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes on the clock, and this is just going to be some quiet time. And then I believe Melinda has joined us. Melinda, are you on the call now? I'm not hearing her, so shoot. I was hoping that she might be. Oh, there she is. Yay, yay. So can we hear you, Melinda? Can we hear you? No, not yet. Okay, well, we'll work on that. We will work on that while you all are writing. So I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and I am going to give you 2 minutes. You're going to write, "Dear Reader," and something from your heart to the heart of your reader. Go. Okay, your time is up. So hands off the keyboard, pens down. I'm curious as to what came out for you.
Yeah.
First of all, I would love to know how many words you wrote. If those of you who did it on an electronic device, if you can look and see how many words you wrote. Sometimes this is maybe one of the most astounding things with these short 2-minute exercises.
So Cathy, Justin just popped one in on the chat, and he says, "Dear valued reader, I hope you find help in this book. If you're confused by tech, feel free to email me." Is that good?
No. No, I think you need a little more than that. Okay, a little more than that. But you want to say, "I get it." And maybe what you want to do is start by sharing how you were once confused by tech, or how you helped somebody who started out being totally frozen and unable to deal with tech, but now that they see tech in a whole new way, they have a whole new outlook on dealing with technology, and they have a whole new relationship with it. That might be more of what we're looking for, but you get the idea. You got a good start, though.
Mm-hmm. So Shannon says,
yes.
"Dear reader, time is precious." Oops. Now they're really coming in now.
Okay.
"Dear reader, time is precious, and loving on you is important. Bringing convenience to you is what we would like to give you, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, busy professional, or student on campus. Our salon will bring this to you. You can build a mobile salon." Yeah. So great. Ashley says she did 114 words. Lisa did 74 words. Ashley says, "Dear reader, I believe in you. I believe you're meant for more, and I know deep down you believe that too. You have the most incredible and unique set of gifts that no one else in all of history has ever will have. I know there's room to reveal more of those gifts that you have inside you and to more fully express them to the world around you. It's an incredibly important work that needs to be done since no one else can do it, and I'm here to guide you through unleashing and revealing the fullest, most authentic version of yourself, because the world needs you.
Yes,
2 years.
yes.
Please don't keep us waiting.
Yes, yes, that's perfect. I love that. That's a great example of what we're looking for in this opening, which could be used as the opening, as the introduction, or the letter to your reader to open your book and set the stage. I think what's also amazing is a lot of people got a lot of words in there. We saw a lot of words from that last attendee, and we saw that somebody else had 100 and some odd words, somebody else had 70 some odd words. Yeah. So the point is here is sometimes we say, oh, we don't really have time to write, but look at what you did in 2 minutes. Sometimes I think we give ourselves too much time to write, and there's something powerful about turning on the clock. And I use my my little timer on my phone all the time, and find that by giving myself limited period of time to write, don't think about it, certainly don't overthink it, just write it. It will come out, and you will have some real clarity about your topic. The other thing I've heard folks say as a result of this exercise is, before I was a little concerned about writing because I thought it was like me showing off all that I know about my topic. But all of a sudden, when I start thinking about my reader, all of a sudden it changes focus. And the focus is not on me and what I know, it's on you and what you need. And that is so much healthier. You're taking it from an ego perspective of showing off who you are and what you know. And that never comes off really well in a book or in any form of writing. To focused on the reader. What is their need? What is their concern? Where are they coming from? What do they need to be successful? And showing your reader that you get them, that you understand them, is so important. And that's what this exercise is all about. Good. Any other comments, Dave, from this exercise?
Yeah. Will says, dear reader, you and only you create change. Everyone else is along for the ride. To do is to motivate, and your motivation changes you and everyone with you along for the ride. Melinda says, dear reader, you've got this. The reason you are here, you are asking questions, is because you know you have things to offer and things to learn. Someone helped me, and now I am here to help you. We each come to this place with a unique perspective and knowledge that only we have discovered. Sharing it is the best gift you can give another person. Let's be generous with our time and talent.
Ooh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Very good. So you get the idea here. We're wanting to shift the focus away from it's me and what I have to share to you and what you need to learn. And it really does a good thing with your head space, is that it takes it away from being this ego-driven thing to you. So Melinda, I see that you've joined us again. Let's see if we can hear you this time.
Nope.
Oh, no. Oh.
It's the first button to the left at the top there, Melinda.
That's the video, but then the audio is the next one, right?
To the left of the, to the right.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Holy moly, it's blonde morning. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. And let me just say, Cathy offers such great wisdom and insights. And I was so excited and honored to be here to assist you, because she helps you really find your voice and find the way for you to be authentic and true and to work with other people. So I apologize to be the hiccup in this flawless and brilliant presentation.
No, it's fabulous. I'm so glad you're with us, Melinda. Did you have a chance to do that last exercise? I know you've done it before with me, but did you have a chance to do it? I actually put it into the chat. Oh, so we actually heard that. Yeah. Yes.
I did read that to you. Yeah, I did read that.
Perfect.
And
okay.
Because I thought you weren't going to keep me from being here.
There you go.
My third microphone. Please continue.
Okay,
What do you
very
need from me?
good. I'd love for you to actually participate in the next exercise so that we can have you read what you wrote and sort of demonstrate. Melinda has been working with me for several years. She's working on, I don't know exactly what book. I know she's at least published one so far, and so she's working on at least another one or two or three. So yes, so if you'll do the next exercise, Melinda, and then I'll call on you to share then what you've written. So what we're going to do next, now that we have this letter to our reader, we're going to go to the next step, which is thinking about all the questions that our reader has about our topic. So what I want you to do in this next exercise is you're just going to write a list of questions. And the questions are the questions that your reader has about your topic. So what are the burning questions that reader wants to ask you? So one important instruction when I give you this, and I'm just going to give you 1 minute for this exercise, is just write the question. Do not attempt to write the answer. Okay, so just write the question. And the goal is to see how many questions you can write. So with that in mind, I'm going to put 1 minute on our clock, and your time begins now. Go. Okay, your time is up. So I'm hoping everybody got at least 3 questions, but if you got more than 3, put the number that you got in the chat. How many did you get, Melinda?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17.
Yay. Yay.
Yeah.
Now, you've done this exercise before, so you knew about the power of it. But what can you do with those questions? What have you done before, and what might you do again this time, Melinda?
Well, I'm just going to give you my questions because they're sort of a roadmap of the things we ask ourselves, I believe, but they're also the questions everyone's going to ask.
Perfect.
How do I start? Where do I start? Am I enough? Who am I? There are people that know more, I'm sure. Why me? Why now? Who am I to be doing this? Why not me? Why not now? What is my favorite thing about this to share? Who can I help? Who helped me?
It's awesome. Mm-hmm. Always spot on, Melinda. Thank you for sharing that. So hopefully a lot of you came up with some really great questions that you can do a lot with these questions. One of the things I love to do with Post-it notes is to put 1 question per Post-it. And then you can arrange all of these on the wall and see, oh, I see. All of these are sort of chapter 1 questions. They're related to one another. All of these are chapter 3 questions. They go together. And you can start organizing the content for your book this way. Each one of these too might be a blog post. So for some of you who are just beginning and you're just beginning your writing journey, this is a great way to begin. You're beginning with a question. And what I love about beginning with a list of questions is that you're not starting with a blank page. So many authors have said, I hate sitting down to the blank screen. Well, you never have to sit down to a blank screen. You can always sit down to a question. And if you think about it as a real human being asking you that question, it becomes so much easier for you to answer that in a very human way. So I love this exercise, which leads us to our final exercise, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. But our final exercise is to take one of the questions that you wrote and write the answer. Or you can start with this as a prompt: once upon a time. So either start with the question that you have already written, or once upon a time, which is really a recollection of a story, either made up or real, about your topic. So once again, I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. I want you to write. Don't overthink this, because you only have 2 minutes. And your time begins now. Go. Okay, and your time is up. So hands off the keyboard, pens down. And I'd love to hear, Melinda, since we can actually hear you now. You, I'm sure, wrote something fabulous, as you always do. So, so share, if you would be willing to share. And what I usually encourage folks to do is to share either what you wrote or an insight from the activity. So tell us what you'd like to share.
I'm going to share my whole process.
Okay, perfect.
I was going to start once upon a time. And so as I scrolled down my page, I saw there was one more question I hadn't counted. And I thought, well, obviously I meant to do that. My last question was, what can I learn from this? And so that's where I started.
Perfect.
What can I learn from this? We all think that when we teach, we are pontificating and being pompous, but actually in teaching, we learn so much more. It causes us to reflect, to understand how we share our knowledge and wisdom. We find ourselves rediscovering all that we know and reappreciating things we may have considered unimportant years ago, but have learned in time were actually very important. What do others teach us? We all know our history and current perspective, but elders and newbies to the field teach us so much more.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Melinda. I want everybody out there to count up your words. So if you did this handwriting, you just count up the words. And if you did this electronically, if you did it in Word, you can look down in the bottom left-hand corner and see what your word count is if you highlight this block of text. How many words did you write just then, Melinda? Uh-oh, you're muted now.
because I'm a very good person when it comes to muting myself. I think I wrote about 115.
115. Very good. Once again, I like to have you look at your word count, because you can put a lot of words together if you just let it go. If you are working really hard about creating the fabulous masterpiece, you will write very few words, and you will be very frustrated, and you will be very exhausted at the end, because you are trying to edit as you create. And creating and editing do not go together. When you are creating, you just let it go. When you are editing, you go in there, you dive deep. Melinda, you've been doing this separation of the two for a while now, so talk to us about it.
I was going to say, I have 90 words. I have typos. I have all sorts of things in there. I have words that I know what I meant, so I can read them to you. But it is in not stopping the flow that you're able to get where you need to be. And between word correct and Grammarly and all sorts of other tools, you can go back through and correct later. But when you stop your process for the nitpick, you disconnect from your hopes and your dreams, and you get caught in the tedium. And the tedium will stop us from going to the best place. So the hardest thing for me is to have those typos. I can nitpick and proofread like nobody's brother. But
That's
I've
right.
learned to let it go, because that allows me to find my best words.
Absolutely. So you've heard it from me, you've heard it from Melinda, honestly, and brain science really tells us this too. Creating, the energy to create is different than the energy and the place in our brain that works to edit. And if you are going back and forth between one function and the other, you are literally exhausting yourself. And that's why writing seems like it's so hard and so exhausting, is that you're going back and forth. If you can just let it go and then clean it up later, and you must clean it up later. Hear me there. You must clean it up later, but it is a separate function. There's so much more we could talk about here today, but I want to give us plenty of time for your questions and zeroing in. I want to say a few things too. As you're typing in your questions into the chat, a couple of other thoughts is, once you get a lot of these pieces written, these chunks of writing written, the answers to questions, then it's looking for a way to fit the pieces together. And some of those will be pieces that you throw away because they're going to be duplicates. Some of them are going to be missing pieces, and you're going to have to make some new ones. But the whole idea is that you fit all of these pieces of writing together into one cohesive whole. And if you want more instruction on that, of course, my book, Blog2Book, is sort of the basis for that. So you can pick that up on Amazon, Blog2Book. What we're going to do now is go into some Q&A, and hopefully I'm going to give you some answers to some burning questions. But I also wanted to let you know, if you do have questions that you would like to address to me offline, send me an email at Cathy@cathyfyock.com. I will provide you with a complimentary strategy session. This is the way you get to know me. I get to know you. You will receive clarity on your book, insights on how best to move forward, and what those next steps might be. I'll also, of course, talk a little bit about my coaching process to see if I'm a fit for you. So that is something I wanted to make mention. And one other thing I wanted to mention, if you are interested in signing up for a 3-month-long weekly program of just getting your writing muscles exercised, I have a new group that's starting in April called the Results Focused Writer Forum. Results Focused Writer Forum. And you can go to my website at cathyfyock.com under services, and there's more information there. It starts in April. It's a 3-month program, and there's a lot of value there for your money. So just let you know about that. So now let's go to your questions. And Dave, I'm guessing we have a couple of questions out there. But Dave, I'm not hearing you.
So, yeah, we have a bunch of questions, and so since I'm asking the questions, I get to ask my question first. So sorry, everybody out there. So if you were to give me in just a couple seconds or quickly, what would be a list of professionals that I would need to surround myself with to make this happen? Because I think I know there's more to it than just putting stuff on paper, right? What else?
There is. I think I'm getting a lot of feedback now. There we go. I think that sometimes I can put the community together for you, and that's what I do with my writing groups and my group coaching, so that you can be with like-minded individuals, so that, because writing is a very solitary activity, and it can be very isolating. It can be sort of paralyzing because you're just stuck in your own head. So I think there's some power in coming together with other authors. So I think a group or a community of like-minded individuals to share your writing with, it might be a coach, a book coach, someone like myself. Certainly when the time comes when your manuscript is completed, you'll need an editor, you'll need a publisher. But those are things that I typically help my authors find the right resources to complete the task.
Kat wants to know, do you need to have an existing blog with a loyal readership base, or is that the starting point to have a book published?
Not really. You can start at any point, and because you have to start somewhere. So some folks, some of my authors start with the blog and they have 0 readers and they're building them up. Some of them have been blogging for a year or 2 or more and have a following, and then they put their book together. Some just put the book out first and then sort of chop up the book and put it out there in blog posts that support not only the book sales, but their speaking, their consulting, their coaching, their business, whatever it might be. So there's really no order, right way to start. It can be from any point.
Is there a recommended number of pages that you should have to publish a book?
Well, pages is not the metric that we want to be looking at. We want to be looking at word count. And, you know, I asked Melinda, how many words did you write? And I asked you out there, how many words did you get written? That is the metric to be paying attention to. Most nonfiction books today are shorter because of busy readers who don't have time to read this big, thick, onerous book. So, 30,000 words is kind of the gold standard right now for nonfiction books. So less is more. You want something very succinct, something very approachable, something very accessible, something that people will say, yeah, I want to pick it up and read it. But then ideally you're wanting your reader to say, oh, but I want more. So they're going to call you to provide that service, to provide that next step. So that's why 30,000 words is a great a gold standard for today's writers.
So on nonfiction books, I mean, do you recommend that you do like a bunch of research before you start writing, and have, you know, I'm just envisioning like when I was doing term papers in college, I had all these cards and stuff with little tidbits of this or that on there. I mean, is that what you would do to get started?
Well, yes and no. I think if you are passionate about your topic, you are collecting that information all the time. So you might start organizing that information in a certain way, but usually if you are an expert writing a book about your expertise, about your thought leadership, you already know that stuff. So it's a matter of writing it. So usually when I'm talking with authors who say something like, oh, well, to get started, I need to start my research. It's like, no, you need to start your writing, because research can be productive procrastination, putting off what you really should do, which is write the damn book. So research, yes, it has its place, and there is a place and time for research. Usually what I say is, if you say, gosh, it would be great in this opening chapter to quote the statistics on my topic, or to quote that. I love that quote that somebody famous said. What was that quote? Go back and do your fact checking and look for those specific data points later when you know exactly the blank that you're wanting to fill. And that way your time spent researching will be really productive time.
So Margaret says, I noticed most topics are help or education. Any suggestions on wanting to write a book about adventures with your grandkids, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I'm working with actually a woman right now who is, she creates play dates with her grandchildren, and they're learning dates, creative dates, where they do art projects, or they explore things together. They may go to a virtual museum or do something like that. But her book is going to be for grandparents about how to orchestrate that kind of experience. And she hopes to go out speaking and talking about that and helping other grandparents or aunts and uncles or other significant family members or friends to help young people become more creative. So it doesn't have to be a business book. I call myself the business book strategist, not because all of my clients are writing business books, but because all of my clients are writing a book to grow a business, to grow a platform, to grow a mission, to grow a message.
Got it. Nice. Well, it looks like we're coming up on the top of the hour here. So if you have a quick question, better get it in now. Otherwise, I think that's all the questions we have in the chat.
Okay. Well, if I could just say one little quick thing to wrap us all up and put a bow on this, is that I really do believe if you have an area of expertise, you have a book inside you. I really, really believe it. And so I would just want to encourage you to step into your thought leadership. It probably will be one of the scariest things you've ever done, is to write a book. Am I right there, Melinda? It is super scary, even for those of us who like to write like Melinda, but it's super scary, but it will be the most rewarding experience of your life. So if I can help you with that journey, I hope you'll reach out to me, Cathy at cathyfyock.com. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Cathy. Thank you, Melinda. It was great to see you, and thanks everybody for coming today. And we'll send you a recording of this later on this afternoon, and hope to see you again next week. So everyone have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.